Hello, my name is John Means, and I'm going to talk to you about college golf recruiting. I've been coaching college golf for over 30 years, and I gave seminars for college recruiting for a 4-year period in that stretch between coaching positions. My resume includes being the coach and recruiter of a national championship team. I've coached 2 individual NCAA champion players, one male and one female player. I have 32 All-Americans, 17 tour players. Our teams have won 76 collegiate golf events. And for a 4-year stretch, I ran a golf academy of champions, which consisted of top-ranked junior players in the Midwest. For that 4-year period, I had 32 of those players, and all 32 of those players went on to play college golf. So I understand the recruitment process from A to Z. And although the seminars that I have given in the past have lasted up to 4 hours with the questions and answers and questions that we have, I'm going to try to give you the basics that you need to be successful in attempting to find a place for your son or daughter at a college campus that will fit them. So take notes, and if you have any questions, I'll give you my contact information at the end. I'm not trying to sell anything here. I'm just trying to help future student athletes just like I was many years ago. We're going to start this out by talking about your sophomore year. If your son or daughter is in their junior year, you can catch up. But in a perfect world, the recruiting process starts in the sophomore year. The sophomore year, summer especially. At that time, you want to schedule yourself for competitive tournaments in your state. There is no need to spend money on the national level and to travel around the country to play, because a lot of things happen between your sophomore summer and your junior summer. Most people turn 16, they get access to an automobile, they get more freedom than they've had before. Sometimes that means their games drastically improve, because they have access to get to the golf course quicker and more often. And sometimes it means their golf games get worse because they used to spend all their time on the golf course, and now the fact that they have access to automobile leads them to take interest in other things. So the sophomore summer is important in that you play competitive golf at the highest level you can in the state. Again, no need to travel. You play in the men's state amateur championship or the women's state amateur championship, the state open championship, any major amateur events in your state that would attract college level players, and of course your state juniors and those type of events. It is not important, unless it's important to you, to play on a junior tour in the state in your sophomore year, because coaches will not look at the results of that junior tour in recruitment of you. So you have to level yourself up to find out exactly how good you are against better competition, and then that's the beginning of your resume. Following your sophomore summer, you need to start looking at colleges and universities that you might be interested in. You're going to sit down and make a list of schools that interest you, both from the academic standpoint and from the golf standpoint, and you're going to start to do a little research on that. The best way to do that is go to the library or get on the internet, go look at the teams, go look at the results, look at the team's rankings, look at the academics that the university has, pick up a Ping College Golf Guide, which talks about all the schools and their golf programs, and kind of get a feel for where you think that you might fit. I mean, at this time, you still have a lot of junior golf ahead of you. You have a lot of opportunities to showcase your talents, but you don't want to. You want to narrow your list of schools down as quickly and as early as you can. Instead of sending out blanket emails to 150 or 200 colleges, you want to narrow it down some idea about what you want to do. The National Junior Golf Scoreboard website, www.njgs.com, has a lot of information about colleges. It also has a ranking of all golfers, both boys and girls, in the United States that have played in any tournaments that are significant. That would be state championships or local bigger events on the junior level, and it gives a college and it gives a ranking for your class. So, for example, right now If I look in the junior golf scoreboard rankings, I will find 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019 players, and the rankings of them compared to each other, and the rankings for them compared to their class. Those rankings, although arbitrary, I have done some research on those and discovered that if you're in the top 250 of your graduating class during your graduating season, there's a 90% probability that you will be an integral part of a collegiate golf program and get some kind of golf scholarship. If you're not in the top 250, there's only a 10% chance that you will get a golf scholarship of some kind or be an integral part of a program. That might mean you have to sit on the bench and work hard for a couple of years before you actually work yourself into the lineup. You need to, beginning of your junior year, you need to schedule your ACT and your SAT tests. You have the NCAA, starting in 2016, has initiated a new admission standard, which you have to have completed 10 core courses. Those are math, English, science, and social studies courses by the end of your junior year, and must take 7 of those courses your senior year for a total of 17. Your guidance counselor will understand what the core courses are, but if you graduate from high school without those 17 core courses, you will be ineligible for NCAA competition for 1 full year. NAIA schools and junior colleges have different rules, and they're not quite as stringent as the NCAA, but the NCAA rules apply to Division I schools, Division II schools, and Division III schools. The difference between Division I, Division II, and Division III as far as golf is concerned: Division I schools offer 4.5 total scholarships for men, 6 for women, 3.4 scholarships for men at Division II, and 5.4 scholarships for women. And at Division III, there are no athletic scholarships. The only thing available at Division III institutions would be financial aid. However, that does not mean that there are not some very good quality Division III golf programs. You need to understand the difference between the 3 of them, and as you're looking at your list of schools, if you need a lot of financial aid or you need a lot of athletic dollars, Division III institution is not for you, but some of the greatest experiences of all college golf come from Division III. So you need to take the time to figure those all out. The other thing you need to do in your beginning of your junior year is you need to open a file with the NCAA Clearinghouse. The NCAA Clearinghouse can be accessed online just type in NCAA Clearinghouse in your search engine, and you can find that. I believe there's a fee of $25, but every single person that wants to play college athletics at the NCAA level must register with the Clearinghouse. The Clearinghouse determines your eligibility. What you will send them is your name, your social security number, and then every time a semester ends, you'll send them a copy of your transcripts. You will fill out an amateurism form. You will send them your ACT and SAT scores, and they will use all those to determine your eligibility. You stay up to date with the Clearinghouse, and when you graduate, the last thing you'll have to send them then is your final transcript. Also, a new rule in college golf: in September 1st of your junior year, coaches are allowed to make phone calls to you. It used to be your senior year. Now it's your junior year. So coaches can initiate the recruiting process. If you don't get a phone call, don't feel bad. What you need to do is you need to start initiating contact yourself. And that's, again, part of the narrowing down process. You send out emails to the coaches or letters to the coaches, and you make these letters very specific. The introductory paragraph, which is short, is a little bit about who you are. The second paragraph is a little bit about your team or your conference, or a player that's come out of your team or conference that's had success at the college level, so the coach has something to compare you to. The third paragraph, probably the most important paragraph, is you need to say something about that particular school, their program, or the academics at the school, so the coach knows that you've actually done a little research and you're just not sending a block letter that goes to everybody. Each one of these emails or letters are sent specifically to the name coach, not dear coach. They're specifically to the coach, and some information about their program should be included. If it's not, the chances of that email or that being deleted or that letter being thrown away is great. There is a significant difference between competitive programs in the NCAA and non-competitive programs. Right now in Division One, any given year, there's 150 programs out of about 290 programs that are competitive at the national level. And what I mean by competitive is that the top 5 players average 73 or better. There's a difference between junior golf and college golf, in that college golf is played at 7,000 yards or greater. It is played during the fall and during the spring when the weather is not as good as it is when you're playing junior golf in the summer. And there's no way that you can equate your scores from junior golf with those of a college team or college player, unless you happen to be in an event, one of the major amateur tournaments in the summertime, where you're paired with one of those players. So it's easy to look at your scores and say, wow, I can play there. You can't compare. There's nothing connected between your scores and those scores. As far as that goes, handicap is another great misnomer. I get emails every single day. I get about 20 emails a day from potential student athletes, and they all tell me about their handicap. I can tell you this, the top 150 golf programs in the NCAA on Division I level, a 0 handicap will not make the team. The 0 handicap means you average around 75. A 2 handicap means you average around 77. And it's all about your ability to shoot low scores. So using a handicap is immaterial. Don't waste your time or your space on your paper and telling anybody about your handicap. It's about your scores. On the Division II level, there's about 30 teams that are competitive in Division II. When I mean competitive, can compete for a national championship. And on those teams, your scoring average has to be about 74.5 or better to be able to start on those teams. On the Division III level, there's about 30 teams also that compete yearly for the national championship. And those teams, stroke average for the 4 or 5 players on those teams is somewhere around 75. So if your stroke average is higher than 75, you have a lot of work to do. That's for the men. On the women's side, the top college women programs, the players average about 75 or better. On the Division II programs, about 78 or better. And on the Division III programs, 79 or better. So that gives you an idea of what's out there. There are a lot more scholarships available for junior girls than there are for junior boys. 83% of all junior players are male, and there's only 4.5 scholarships for them. 17% female, there's 6 scholarships for them. So it's very easy for a girl that has a good golf game and a good record to get a full scholarship to go to school. As far as boys are concerned, less than 1% of all the scholarships given out in college golf are full scholarships. A matter of fact, the majority of scholarships in college golf are given out are book scholarships, which is about 3% of a full scholarship. An average team for men is 12 players. 4.5 scholarships divided into 12 players is less than half a scholarship apiece. And the national average for scholarships is 40%. The best way to guarantee yourself an opportunity to get a scholarship for college is by getting a 3.5 grade point average and scoring high on your ACT or SATs. Then every university will be interested in you, and even with limited athletic scholarships, that money that's added to your academic scholarship will not count against the squad size limit of 4.5, and you'll be able to get a significant amount of money and save the coach the opportunity to give that money to a lesser grade point average player or a player that comes from a family that needs more money. The object, obviously, is to create the most competitive team you have and be able to divide the money equally and fairly, which is very difficult to do at the college level. About the middle of your junior year, as you're sending these letters out, and oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, as you send emails out, develop a private email address that's just used for college recruiting. It's not a funny email address. It's a very simple one, like john1234@gmail.com. And you don't give that to anybody else. So when you're talking to coaches, that's the email that you'll get back from them. You won't get it mixed up. You won't accidentally send them an email that you meant to send to a friend. And after recruiting period's over, you can just delete the email and go back to your other email. But it's important that you keep those separate. So in November or December, you're going to send the coach like a little Christmas note. You're going to say in the note what your tentative schedule is for the following summer. And I say tentative because sometimes you don't have the exact dates. But what most of us coaches use those tentative schedules for is to determine what tournaments we are going to go watch the next summer. If I find out that 5 players are going to be playing in the Junior World Championship in San Diego, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get down to that tournament so I can see those 5 players plus the rest of the field. So that's very important to be sent out about that time. In January and February, now the dates of those tournaments should be more in place. You send another letter to the coaches and you ask them about that, or you tell them about the dates of the tournaments that you're going to be playing in. The junior summer is the summer. It is the most important summer of all. It's way more important than the sophomore summer, and definitely more important than your senior summer, in the fact that this is the time when the coaches are really seriously looking at players that they want to offer some kind of scholarship to. Scholarships are offered twice during your senior year. Scholarships are offered the first Wednesday in November, and it lasts for 1 week. And then it happens the first weekend in April, and that lasts all the way until school starts. Most college coaches want to be done in November so they can concentrate on their team and not have to concentrate on recruiting. So it's very important that your summer schedule is set and that you're prepared to play at the very highest level. The summer schedule for your junior year should include the state championship for juniors, the state amateur championship, the state open championship, and at least one major national championship. As I said before, that could be the U.S. Junior, the Junior World, the PGA National Junior. There's several opportunities to qualify for those events and to get there. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get noticed. You can join the AJGA or the FCWT or the IGRT. There's lots of different leagues out there. But if it requires a great distance of travel, not a lot of coaches go to those events. They get emails from those events that tell the results. If we see something we like consistently, we would send a note to that particular player and find out what their schedule is to go see them later on. But you don't have to spend a ton of money. My suggestion is you take that money that you're going to spend on all those events and you put that in the bank and save it for college. And use these national events that aren't expensive to get into. Yes, you have some travel costs, but those are the ones that the coaches go to. Last year at the U.S. Junior Championship, there was 125 coaches in attendance, and at the Junior World Championship, there was 93. So you play in one of those national events, you will get noticed. In April and May, this is a time in college golf where the conference championships are being played. We're getting ready for the NCAA regionals and the NCAA finals. This is the time where you send out a concrete, yes, I'm entered into these tournaments schedule to the coaches. They are finalizing their airplane tickets and their car rentals, and they're making their summer plans to go and watch as many players as they can with the least amount of money and least amount of travel. So you need to be able to get all that information to them. As I said before, make sure your summer tournaments are good tournaments. Stay away from playing in a lot of the local events unless it's your goal to be the state player of the year. The state player of the year does not hold a lot of weight as far as a college coach is concerned. I know it's important to you or to your parents, but as far as college is concerned, it's not very important. What's important is competing against the best possible players, competing against college players or the best players in the nation. It's also a very good time for you to schedule visits. There are 2 types of visits on the NCAA level. There's an official visit, which is a visit that the university who's interested in you pays for either all or part of the visit, and they can pay for both you, or they pay for you. And once you're there, they can take care of your mother and your father. For example, they can get you a room at the hotel, and your mother and father can stay with you. They can take you out to dinner, and they can buy dinner for your mother and father. They'll take you to a football game or a basketball game or some other game on campus, and those tickets will be paid for. It's a 48-hour trip from the time you set foot on campus until 48 hours later you have to be off campus and heading home. You're allowed 5 official visits, 5 paid visits. But the best visit, I think, is an unofficial visit. An unofficial visit is a visit that you schedule with a coach and a school. And you can go there at any time and stay as long as you want. The downside is that the school can't help you pay for anything. You have to pay for your lodging. You have to pay for your food. You have to, pay for, any movies or things you want to go to. They can give you and your family free tickets to a sporting event. But on an unofficial visit, because you're more free, you can go places that on an official visit you wouldn't have an opportunity to do. You can go talk to regular students. You can go visit professors. You have a ton of time on your hand that's not structured. On an official visit, the coach will structure that trip to make sure that your 48 hours is used to the way the coach wants it to be used and not necessarily to you. It is very important on these visits, very important, that you meet with every player on the golf team, that you meet with professors, that you meet with the academic counselor for the golf program, that you meet with the coach. It's important that you look at the facilities. It's important you talk about the schedule. It's important that you talk about the qualifying procedures and how you'd be able to qualify to go on a trip once you're there at the school. You need to get as much information out of that visit as you possibly can. If a coach is only allowing you to see 3 or 4 players, and you know there's 8 or 9 or 10 players on the roster, that's a red flag that those players are disheartened or wouldn't say good things, and you need to check that out. You need to make a concentrated effort in being able to get to meet all the players. Ask them whatever questions you need answered. Be honest with them, and they will be honest with you. The best recruiters we have are our student athletes. So it's really important that you get to know those student athletes and get everything done on that trip. I would suggest writing a list of things that you need to have, that you need or want when you go to college, and ask those questions. Say, for example, you want a school that has a really good athletic program, meaning that many of the teams play for national championships. If that's one of your dreams, you're not going to go visit a school whose football program is 1-10 and their basketball team won 4 games last year. I mean, these are all part of the college experience. The 4 years or the 5 years that you spend in college are the greatest years of your life. If your mother or father have gone to school, they will tell you, you have more freedom, you have more ability to make errors, you have more ability to have fun, you have more ability to enjoy life than you will ever have for the rest of your time. So you need to really take advantage of those 4 or 5 years. You really need to do your homework and make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. If you accept a large scholarship at a school that you didn't really enjoy, that you didn't like the players, or you thought the coach, there was something wrong with the coach, or they didn't have facilities, and you hate it after your first year and decide to transfer, you have wasted 1 year of those 4 or 5 great years. So it's really important on these visits that you do your homework. Now you play your summer tournaments, you send the results to the coaches. Hopefully they're good enough for the coach to start recruiting you, but if not, you have to do your best to recruit the coaches, and it's time to narrow down your choices. Remember what I told you about the averages for the programs. There are some Division I programs that are not very competitive. Those programs are there specifically because by NCAA rules, they have to have a certain number of programs to have either college football or college basketball on the campus. What's a cheap program? Golf and tennis. They're the ones that have the fewest athletes. So in programs where you see that the programs are extremely weak, there's not a lot of money put in those programs. They may have a part-time coach. It may be a teacher at the school. It's not really anybody that knows anything about golf. And you need to find that out during the recruiting process. I would estimate that 85% of the college golf coaches at all 3 divisions and NAIA and junior colleges know very little about teaching the golf swing or teaching golf. What they do know how to do is they know how to recruit, they know how to raise money, they know how to manage a program, and they know how to schedule events. If you think you're going to go to college and learn how to be a professional player, again, do your research and find out what the coach knows and how many players the coach has put out professionally on his teams. Most top programs do not coach the players. Players have their individual coaches back in their home state or their home golf course, and when the players struggle, they fly home, they get help from their instructor, and they come back. I was one of those players that thought a college coach was going to make me into a tour player, and I found out very quickly when I got to school that my coach was an attorney in town, and he only met with the teams on Fridays. So they're out there just like that, and you have to be very careful, but again, that's part of your research. You're also going to take your ACT and your SAT test again at the end of your junior summer. You're going to take that and try to increase your grade and increase your opportunity to get financial aid. Remember, I said early signing dates for college begin in November. They last 1 week. The goal for you is to get done at that time. Early commitments. It's been a phenomenon in the last couple of years that schools have gotten commitment letters, commitments from players that are right now in 9th or 10th grade. A commitment is a verbal, yes, I'm coming to your institution, and it has absolutely no credence with the NCAA, the NAIA, or a junior college. It means nothing. What it does is it sends a note to anybody else from any other program that might be interested in recruiting you that you are not interested in them, and it would be unethical for them to contact you, and so the coaches will stay away. Since it is not binding, I would say about 65% of the people that make early commitments to university are turned down by that university when they come to their senior year because their golf game hasn't improved at the rate of which the coach or the assistant coach thought that it was going to improve. So now you've made the commitment, nobody else has come and watched you play, no one else knows anything about you, and all of a sudden you're stranded. So my suggestion to you is, unless you're 100% sure, unless you are 110% sure, don't make that early commitment, because as I said, it is non-binding, and at any time the coach can send you a note and say, oops, I'm sorry. And as far as that goes, the player can say the same thing. If you're a good player but haven't done anything great, and your junior summer you win the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship, all of a sudden every team in the country is going to be looking for you, every coach in the country. And you've already made a commitment to a mid-level school because that was the best you could find at the time, and now you have an opportunity to go to any school you really want to, then you're going to have to break that commitment. I think it's important as a student athlete, as a young man or woman, I think it's important to honor your word. So if you don't make that commitment early, if you take your time and do your due diligence and understand what's involved in the college recruiting process, you make your commitment when the time is right. If you feel pressured into making a commitment, don't make the commitment. The summer schedule now, as you go into your junior year, remember your core courses, remember your ACT, SAT scores. You keep taking those to get better. It is time now to, if you haven't signed in the early recruiting process, it's time for you to put a little pressure on the coaches. You send them emails and say, hey, I'm still very interested in your program. Have you signed the people you want for 2017, if that's your year? And you start eliminating programs quickly from your list so you can concentrate. You might have to make another unofficial visit to a university to show the coach that you're extremely interested in that program, and you need to really sell yourself. Remember, the bottom line for guys is not scholarship dollars. The bottom line for guys is an opportunity to be able to play and earn scholarship dollars. Women, not the same. Women's teams are smaller, usually 8 players, and there's a lot of money to go around. If you are a good junior girl player, you will have no problem getting scholarship dollars. You can pretty much pick and choose the university that you want to go to. The second signing period, I said, starts in the second week in April. It starts on a Wednesday, and that will go all the way until that school starts. What does that leave us? Well, that leaves us your senior summer. Most schools have signed their players in the early signing period. The few that haven't signed get signed right away in April. But if you're a player that all of a sudden develops into something really good your senior summer, there are spots for you. You have to stay in contact with the programs. There's players that sign scholarships that for whatever reason, family issues or something comes up and they don't take them. They decide not to go to school. So scholarships are still available in the summertime if that interests you. You have to make sure that when you go to these institutions that you tell them that, if something happens, I'd still be interested in coming to your school. So those scholarships can be offered all the way up until the first day of school. So your senior summer is no junior events. It's only major amateur events or major national amateur events, and you stay away from the juniors. After you graduate, you send the NCAA clearinghouse your final transcript. They declare you eligible. You then are allowed to, all schools that are interested in you will know that you're eligible immediately and ready to go. And that part is pretty much done. There's three things that I really would like you and your parents to think about as you go through this process. As I said earlier, college golf or college is the 4 or 5 best years of your life. Here's three things that happen to every single person that goes to college. There's three things that you have to do, and these are not in any particular order. Number one, you have to go to practice and you have to play your sport. Number two, you have to go to class and you have to do your academics and study. Number three, you have to have a social life. And what I'm telling you right now is probably the most important part of this whole message. You have to give 100% when you're in those arenas and not worry about the other two arenas when you're there. And here's my example. You're sitting in your math class on Tuesday morning. You're sitting next to somebody that you're starting to feel comfortable with. There's a movie playing at the movie theater on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. You ask this person out for a date. They say yes. The teacher's going through the math and he tells you there's a math exam Thursday morning at 8. So now you've got Wednesday night at 7, you've got a movie. Thursday at 8 in the morning you have a test. And Tuesday and Wednesday you have qualifying to go to Hawaii, and you've never been to Hawaii before. So you get to the golf course, you warm up on Tuesday, you're ready to go, you're thinking about, wow, you know what, I'm going to have a date with this person that I met in math class, and you're kind of excited about that. And you go out and play, and after 5 holes, because your mind wasn't 100% there, you're 2 over par, and the people that you're playing with are 2 under par. And you found yourself behind. And now you're working hard to be able to get it back, and you end up shooting a 73, but everybody else has shot 68 and 69. You're not a very happy camper. You go to the golf course the next day, your date's coming up, your plan was your tee time is at 2 o'clock, you're going to be done around 6 o'clock, you're going to go back to your room, you're going to take a shower, you're going to get yourself all spruced up so you can go on this date. At 7 o'clock, you're going to take the person out. Your goal is to hold a hand or get your arm around or whatever. You've got a goal during this movie that's going to happen, but you have to be back in your room by 10 because you have to study for your math exam that's going to be on Thursday morning. You go to the golf course, you're excited, same thing happens, you warm up. Oh, there was a rain delay in the golf course. They had to suspend play for a while, and you don't tee off now till 2:30. So you get to the tee box and you're hurried. And you play and you're 2 or 3 over par after 5 holes, everybody else is under par. You played very poorly, you don't qualify to go to Hawaii. You're angry. It's 6:40 now. You've got 20 minutes to pick up this person and go to the movie. You don't have time to go take a shower. You don't have time to change clothes. You're angry, you grinded all day long. You go grab the person, you go to the movie, your mind is on your golf game. Before you know it, the movie's over, you didn't get to hold hands, you didn't get to put your arm around, nothing's happened the way you planned it. So you say, you know what, let's go get a pizza and a soda. And you're going to make your plan work. Well, by the time your plan works, it's now 12. Remember, you played 18 holes of golf and you grinded. You are tired. So now you go back to your room. It's too tired to study, so you set the alarm for 6. The alarm rings at 6 o'clock in the morning. The first thing you do is you reach over and hit the snooze alarm. You hit the snooze alarm 3 times, and before you know it, it's 7:45. You jump into your sweats. You race as fast as you can over to take the test. You haven't studied. You failed the test miserably, and now you have to go to the golf course for practice. You see, this is a vicious cycle. where you did not give 100% to each one of those areas that you were in. And because you didn't get 100%, you failed in every one of them. And that's the freshman, that's the three-legged stool, as I call it, for freshmen. If you can learn that now, and you can put 100% into what you're doing now as a high school person, 100% into your family when you're with your family, 100% with your golf when you're with your golf, 100% if you have a part-time job or a girlfriend, boyfriend. If you can start doing that now, you will have a great, great college career, and you won't have the vicious freshman cycle. So that's the probably most important thing that I can tell you about this, the whole little presentation I'm giving right now. A couple more notes. When you're looking for schools, start out with what you must have as far as your list of questions that you ask yourself. Then next is, what would I like to have? And then third what would be just super deluxe phenomenal that I had? Write those all down, and if you find an institution that has all of those, put that number one on top of your list. Again, my name is John Means. I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions that you have if you send me an email at johnmeansgolf@aol.com. Again, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I understand the recruiting process inside out and upside down. I was president of the Golf Coaches Association. I know virtually all the golf coaches in the United States and something about all those programs. If you have a question that I didn't answer, or I opened up a box that you need more information on, again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Send me an email, johnmeansgolf@aol.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. Thank you so much for listening to my breakdown on college golf recruiting, and I wish you the best of luck in your recruiting efforts. Thank you.